After an arduous leg 5 from Auckland, the race village in Itajaí was a hive of activity, with parts of it resembling a boat building yard. Some of the shore crews worked around the clock to get their vessels race ready. It was situation normal for leg winners. Puma Ocean Racing Mar Nostro was the only boat that wasn't forced into an unscheduled stop during racing. Team Telefonica made a pit stop for running repairs near Cape Horn, but there was still plenty for their shore crew to do in Itajaí. Groupama sailed in under jury rig, whilst the team's spare mast was flown in from the Netherlands in a huge logistical operation, arriving 2 days after the boat. Camper's big fixes had already been carried out during their lengthy stay in Chile, so the team's delayed arrival in Brazil was not as much of a handicap as it initially appeared to be. But the team with the seemingly impossible task was Abu Dhabi. Arriving in Itajaí by container ship after delays en route, their shore team had to complete a 3-day repair in less than 48 hours. With extra boat builders drafted in to help, the team worked around the clock to get Azam back on the water. The notable absentee in the race village was Team Sanya. The Chinese boat is being shipped to the US and will rejoin the fleet in Miami. The route to the US stopover is relatively straightforward. The fleet will hug the South American coast, making the most of the area's usually reliable trade winds before winding through the Caribbean islands and into Miami. After surgery of both the major and minor variety, the fleet of 5 assembled on the start line for the DHL In-Port Race. There was drama from the outset as Puma charged over the start line first, but were judged to have failed to keep clear of leeward boat Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing and were penalised.
So there's an incident off the line at the start of the inshore race. Here goes another flag on Groupama. There's flags flying, and it's all about, did the boats keep clear?
As the American boat struggled to execute its penalty turn, there was a split on the racecourse. Telefonica out to the left, keeping out of trouble, whilst Groupama, Abu Dhabi and Camper went right. But dirty air washing over the 3 boats allowed Telefonica to make significant gains, and the Spanish boat led to Mark 1.
It's Telefonica against Camper, followed by Groupama and Abu Dhabi.
Despite their early advantage, Puma regained contact with the fleet and squeezed past Abu Dhabi after a poor mark rounding by the Emirati boat. Groupama benefited from a wind shift to round Mark 2 behind Telefonica, but ahead of the trailing trio. But just as the race was starting to look processional, an extraordinary mistake occurred. The usually faultless Team Telefonica rounded what they thought was Mark 4, but incredibly, it was the wrong mark. To make matters worse, it took a while for the Spanish boat to realise its mistake. As they scrambled to return to the correct course, the rest of the fleet pressed on. But the damage was done. Groupama free to claim a vital 6 points ahead of Camper. Puma clawed their way back to 3rd, keeping Abu Dhabi at bay. On the overall points table, that victory reduces Telefonica's lead over Groupama to 16 points. And with another 16 points separating the French team, Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand and Puma Ocean Racing, the Volvo Ocean Race remains wide open. Departure day in Itajaí as the teams bade a fond farewell to this Brazilian city that's been a welcoming temporary home for the fleet for the past 2 weeks. With the customary handover completed, all eyes turned to the north and the 3,590 nautical miles to the fleet's next destination, Miami in the USA. But first, a quick sprint around the port of Itajaí before heading offshore. 30 seconds to go, and Peter Lester, they're pulling the trigger very soon.
Time on distance, a big one here, 30 seconds to go. Sail choice, have they made a sail choice for the light conditions in the pre-start area or for the fresher conditions at Mark 1? But 20 seconds to go, time on distance. We've got Camper and Puma down at the pin end. Looks like they're in speed build. Puma just taking a little bit of a laugh, a little bit time on distance, a wee bit early. And Camper right on the pin. Up at the windward end, it looks like getting in at that windward end, it's Groupama. Groupama have got a fractional code 0 on, so they've gone for a different sail. So off they go on the leg to Miami. It's a pretty even start. Telefonica a little bit bow forward. Position-wise, Camper down at that leeward end. If they've got a good 2-sail reach angle to that first mark, they could be strong. But Group Armour have gone for a code 0 now. It's a fractional, it's only up to the intersection. You can see it doesn't quite go to the top of the mast. But in doing that, going for that selection, they have given away a bit. You can see Telefonica is just smoking already. They're right up to speed.
On board now with Puma Ocean Racing, powered by Berg. And we can see that Telefonica really are on a bit of a flyer here out to the right-hand side of your picture there. And they look unerringly good again,
they're quick.
Peter.
Telefonica have rolled that, they've rolled over the top of Puma, they've rolled over the top of Camper. Telefonica will lead at the first mark. And then there's that group, and I think it will be Camper who will be next in if they've got the overlap on Puma. Telefonica just go into the jibe around the yellow Volvo Ocean Race mark. Next, it looks like it will be Camper, then Puma, but the boat that started back at the start, Group Armour, with that different sail, they've got a fractional rig, code 0 on. They're really closed up on that group.
Canute, plenty of action to be watching here.
No, absolutely, and Camper had a bit of a problem with their jib now in the jibe, but they kind of flipped it on the wrong side, but it looks like they're getting it sorted. But Puma is definitely sneaking inside Camper there and have more speed in the rounding. But as I said, it's going to be a more open angle heading back, and that should benefit Group Armour, so they should be able to keep the speed up. But at the same time, with a big sail, you lose in the maneuver, and they lost pretty much the 2 boat lengths that they had gained on Puma, so they're back again with Abu Dhabi.
Look at that lead already. Canute, we're looking at Virtual Eye. It's telling us that Telefonica have stretched out by, well, it's getting on for 200 meters. It's an electric boat.
Absolutely, absolutely. It looks very well like the boat is set up well. They have always a nice trim, and they never struggle spending time grinding in the sails, and it looks really good.
Now, Camper have been rolled by Puma, so that mark rounding has cost Camper. Puma, Kenny Reid took the opportunity to get onto the inside of Camper. They've rolled over the top.
Look at Telefonica, absolutely smoking.
Telefonica, that's Mark II. As they come round now, they will just look at going up on the wind. Now, this corner is very light over at the start-finish line area, and there could be some opportunities for these trailing boats as Puma come in through Mark II. Camper will be next, but it's certainly tricky over in this corner, start-finish line. Now that's interesting. Puma right on the mark of tack. Telefonica to windward. Telefonica went a little bit further and they've run out of wind. They sailed into a light patch, and we could well see that Puma here could sail away from Telefonica. It's very tricky over, we're right under the cliffs. And look at that, Martin, you can see Puma have done a number. Telefonica, well, Telefonica might be right. They're just back into the wind. Canute, Telefonica now, she looks like she's got back what she lost at the mark.
I would say so. She has gained it, so I just set the weather, and if Puma is tacking now, I think the distance is pretty much the same as it was leading into the mark. So they look strong, and the sea is getting a bit flatter out here, and it's obviously more solid, strong breeze all the way up to the mark. So I assume they all will go for the one tack option and go all the way to the ley line, which is the edge of the race course.
Camper went a little bit further inshore. They'd have paid a little bit in that light spot, but then Camper have taken a nice little right-hand pressure shift around the point. Telefonica, they got a nice start. They rolled Puma and Camper. They led at the first mark. They've extended on this upwind.
And I suspect the rich are about to get richer because when these boys get round this mark first, they're going to be first to get their big sail up, and they will be flying in this pretty solid breeze. Telefonica around first, followed by Puma, who have really closed the game up on this leg.
Yeah, tack set for Puma. It's a little bit of a delay tack set for Telefonica. So Puma goes round, they tack the boat. The halyard will be hoisted on the downwind sail.
Just a short drive from Itajaí, the Asu River runs through the spectacular Apiuna Valley, providing adrenaline junkie Ryan Godfrey with the perfect antidote to hardcore ocean racing.
Today you're gonna take it to the nice adventure here, man. Through those beautiful landscape we have here in Itajaí. We're gonna take it through the river on the rafting. You're just gonna love it.
Perfect, can't wait.
Let's go.
After donning the appropriate safety gear, it was time to head to the river to launch the raft, a far smaller vessel than the Puma Ocean Racing sailor is used to. It was a sedate start to Ryan's rafting trip, but it wasn't long before the paddlers were bouncing around on the river. As the raft headed down the river, the drops got steeper and the rapids more extreme, and the tourists were beginning to have difficulty keeping their seats. Not the most elegant dismount from Ryan, but he was quickly rescued, a little bedraggled, but none the worse for wear.
Just came down the river, went through a few rapids, which was really good. Everyone managed to survive that, and then we did what they call surfing effort, which didn't go so well for us, and a few of us ended up getting spat out the boat, but everyone's arrived safe and sound, so we're happy. Really cool fun.
I wonder if they've got an issue on board Telefonica. We go on board here. We saw that the Genoa, in fact, hadn't been dropped on the deck. Have they elected just to half drop the sail, given that the leg is so short?
Peter, I'm just next to Telefonica, and I can tell you they have just elected to half drop it because they're going to use that sail pretty much right after the next mark. So they look very comfortable and not really having problems.
Okay, so it was a sail handling decision. They've dropped the sail halfway down just so that the head of the Jenica has the clean air flowing over it. So looking at that canoe, they're almost using that Genoa in that half-dropped configuration like a little like a staysail.
Yeah, and it almost looks like a staysail, but I don't think it's that efficient. But,
no, I'm sure it's not.
Not well, that little wrinkle's a bit of a giveaway down the middle, I would suspect.
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing a good example of why it is important to win the start, because when you get offshore later on, after they finish this triangle, the first boat is going to lead into more pressure, and this could quickly become bigger distances.
Just seeing there that Telefonica quite high on the ley line, so that would mean that that angle down to the mark is almost a downwind angle for these boats. All the fleet are actually to windward of the Volvo Ocean Race marker, the yellow marker that they're to go round. So Telefonica have actually got a jibe to do. They'll want to probably carry that Jenica all the way to the mark before they furl. Looks like a lead change, so Telefonica have had a problem. Puma have sailed round their bow, so Kenny Reid soaked down on Telefonica. Can Kenny Reid, who's past Telefonica, can they hold that lead to the mark? As we look at Camper, also still coming down on the inside.
Well, it's been an extraordinary leg, because look how much Camper have closed the game up to, and this show is just never over. It's all closed up again. We've got a new leader heading around the mark. Telefonica now in second spot, Camper right on the tail. This game has closed up once more.
Well, what that was is the two trailing boats of Telefonica took the opportunity to sail a deeper angle to the mark. Telefonica just ended up a little bit caught out there by sailing a little bit of a hot angle. Canute, these boats are hard to sail and manoeuvre, being short-handed and with these furling downwind sails.
No, absolutely. And I think it looked like Telefonica had really a problem with their furl. They were struggling to roll in their big sail, and they started maybe too late with it. So they really got stuck with way too much sail up in the jibe, and they couldn't really get rid of it. So, but anyway, it was a very good maneuver by Puma.
Abu Dhabi come round the mark. They lead Groupama. It's like Abu Dhabi, what's going on? They've just got now. What happened there is Ian Walker just had to sail a little bit deep to make sure that the code 0 or the A2 was down on the inside of the forestay. If it goes to leeward of the forestay or to the right-hand side of the forestay, you cannot drop the sail. And this is what we're seeing here with Groupama. You can see Groupama, the white furled sail. They've got to get that on the windward side of the forestay. Otherwise, the sail will drop in the water. So Groupama are having a bit of a problem here. They've got it now. They'll jibe the boat. You can see now it's on the windward side, so they can drop it onto the deck.
Well, it almost looked to me like they haven't really decided what way they were going to get it down. So they were stuck in the middle. They had the Genoa out on one side, and they had the mainsail on the other side. So, no, that was not a very pretty maneuver. I've seen that done better.
Leading Puma, Telefonica. Then we've got Camper. And we have seen in at this corner, last time round it was very light, and Kenny Reid took the opportunity to tack right on the mark.
Kenny Reid saying, let's get going, guys.
Well, we'll just look what tactic he uses. Is he going to tack the boat right at the mark? As Puma lead on leg 5, they come round the mark. Looks like Puma are just extending a little bit as they come around the mark. They didn't tack immediately. Will Telefonica?
Now Telefonica are going to tack right on the mark.
It's almost a
role reversal.
Exactly of what happened the first time.
Canute, what's it looking like up there? Are there light spots?
Well, it still, to me, it looks very light further into the bay, and I'm surprised that Kenny let Puma attack that early. Let Telefonica attack that early. But it could be the right-hand shift we talked about. You know, just the headland, just upwind from Puma. There is a right-hand shift. There's no doubt about it. So maybe Puma wants to set up for that shift, and will be looking better to weather.
So Camper now around the mark as Chris Nicholson brings his crew around.
Camper bulldozing the water out of the way, and that with that characteristic charging bow wave. Amazing shot of the helicopter down there, and looks a little bit precarious sitting over the start-finish boat. And here comes Abu Dhabi, a very different kind of bow wave to that was being put up by Camper.
Well, really characteristic of Abu Dhabi, very full in the bow sections.
The sky above the race village is filled every day with multicoloured canopies as tandem paraponters enjoy a bird's eye view of Itajaí. It didn't take long to find a couple of sailors eager to see the area in a whole new light.
I'm going to be sitting on another guy's lap for quite a while in the air with a parachute, just running off the hill here, which is going to be pretty cool. You done this before?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
And I've never had anything wrong.
Okay.
We're right above the inshore race course where some of the other teams are training, so hopefully we can do a bit of course reconnaissance, and I can speak to Paul while he's up there and get the lowdown, so we can give the guys on the base a bit of info. I think he's getting a bit anxious. I originally volunteered myself to go first. I didn't have time to think about it, but due to my fuller figure, I'm going second.
Push and sit down. Tap, yes.
Pretty cool up here, man. It's quite graceful now. He's up there and going. We've got a pretty good view up there. How you doing out there, Paul?
It's such a weird sensation, just sort of sitting in the air. This is very cool, very, very cool.
Sounds good, mate. Nervous?
Oh, I'm a little nervous, but I think I'm getting used to it now.
Sounds good. I think I'm looking forward to it now.
A delicate touchdown and Paul's flight was over. Now it was Simon's turn. His takeoff disturbed some of the local Brazilian wildlife, but he was up and away.
How'd that go for you, Si?
How's it feeling? It's amazing. Not quite as scary as I thought. But yeah, just an amazing feeling. Beautiful.
I think he's pretty nervous. He's not a big fan of heights, Sci-Fi, so once the little adrenaline rush gets out the way, I think he's going to realise where he is. But he has no choice, he's there, so I think he's having a lot of fun. Sounds like it anyway. I mean, when you're up there, when you hang in there, it's almost like nothing can touch you. But then we saw a guy end up in the bushes, so it's pretty dangerous sometimes. It's just incredible, man.
Next time I come to Santa Catarina, I'm going to do it again, for sure.
Well, we're looking at Virtual Eye at the moment, and that's still got Puma still enjoying the lead, and they do seem to be lifting a little bit.
Yeah, they're in good pressure there though, Martin. There's no wind shattering.
Okay, now this is Everaldo Teixeira Pato. He's 36. He's from this province, Santa Catarina. Pro surfer, a big wave rider. He's one of Brazil's best surfers. Been surfing since he was 11.
It was great sprint.
He's following in the wake, if you like, of Laird Hamilton, who's the big wave specialist, who's really an honorary, well, he's going to be another one here. Here he goes. Well, he knows these waters, and
sure
I wonder
we'll
if there'll be a bit of a salute. This, hope he's oh, backflip. Very neat. There he goes with a hoot and a holler. Well, that was Pato, and he's a finalist in the Big Wave Awards for a barrel ride on the historic swell at Chopu in Tahiti, and big grins all round on here. Kenny Reid's a bit of a showman, he'll have loved all that, but so did the rest of his crew.
I must say, in terms of leading out of Itajai, it really comes down to bragging rights, because they're in for some pretty tricky conditions. They'll leave, they'll go out. It's quite fresh offshore, and then they're going to head into some pretty tricky conditions up track.
Doesn't get much better than this, fellas. We're actually going to have some good sail on this leg. Can't wait to see everybody in Miami.
There we go. Kenny Reid enjoying enormously having this lead over Telefonica. That means he knows he can mix it up with the overall race leader, and maybe he can pursue his dream of getting into his homeland, Kenny Reid first, be into Miami.
So they're on leg 6. Once they go around this mark, they're off then to Miami. So they're off into the ocean. It's Kenny Reid, second off the line, and he was behind Telefonica. Got round the Spanish team, so I'm sure the Puma team will be pretty happy with their work in this initial stage.
So the sailors in the Volvo Ocean Race, they're on leg 6 to Miami, 4,000 miles, and roughly 14 days between them and Miami. It's going to be very tricky, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be yet another test of man and machine. It will be, to some extent, sailing on the edge. Pain, gain, glory, all those issues are going to be addressed now by this fleet of remarkable boats and remarkable sailors. That's the end of the action in Itajaí. The next stop for this travelling roadshow is Miami in a couple of weeks' time. We'll see you then.